help it.
I guess so. All right, so this is Shiro420 from Edmonton Gamers. I'm here. This is our little segment we call the Psycho Hour. First time, first tip. So forgive my webcam for looking a little ass. All right, so I'm joined here by joined here by Mr. Fanatic, aka Beyonzo's husband. We're just gonna call him Jay Z, nigga lips that can eat up a whole I think a chapstick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got, you know what I'm saying? I got to keep this one right here, and I got my other one on lock. I
Damn.
got, I
So
got multiple.
yeah, is that every time just before you're about to speak on your mic, you're just like, I gotta use the whole thing. I use the
I
whole
mean,
thing.
no, I put on the gang of it, though. It's like, man, my lips is on chap. Let me
Yeah,
hook them on up.
it's disgusting. All right, so why don't you tell me? So for those that don't know, why don't you tell me about who you are and how you got into fighting games, like when it started.
Um, my name is Lauren Fanatiq Riley, and I've been doing fighting games since I was about 7, 8 years old.
7 or 8 years old. So what
Yeah.
was your first introduction to fighting games? Like you came in, you're like, ooh, this I'm gonna shoot something with this.
My first introduction, like actually, it was really bad. I was playing a game called Karate Champ for regular Nintendo.
The one with the two joysticks on
Um,
Bloodsport.
no, no, no. It was just you played on a regular Nintendo, but it had like three moves. I think it had like up and A, up and B would do like a jump kick. It was really bad. It was really really bad game.
All right, you
That
might
was my
be.
first one,
All
and
right, you
then
you might be interested to know that Karate Champs also the arcade version has two joysticks, right? And
okay,
depending on how you move the joysticks, you do different moves. It was actually featured in the movie Bloodsport. John Claude
okay.
Van Damme comes up and he sees Hacksaw Jim Duggan playing it. And I don't know the actor's real name, but I just know he's Hacksaw Jim Duggan for wrestling. Anyways, he's like fucking around with that thing, and they're like, "Oh damn!" Then he lost or whatever, right? Yeah. So, anyways,
Uh,
that's your first fighting game. That's like crazy mad old, and
yeah, yeah,
you,
yeah. That was the first one for regular Nintendo. And then
that's
on Super
old.
Nintendo, I got my first introduction to fighting games was pretty much Street Fighter.
Street Fighter
Street
2,
Fighter
right?
2.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what was your first character in that one? Because this is before Storm, before Magneto. This is when you had the 8 characters, right? World Warrior,
Chun-Li.
Chun-Li. Interesting. That was my first character, although she liked me better. So, why'd you gravitate towards Chun-Li?
Um, Man, I don't know. I was one of them kids for some reason when I was a little kid. I wasn't into. I was into like the way things looked. I was into like the visual appeal. Like I like the flash and stuff like that. And
Flash, Chun-Li, Street Fighter 2.
yeah, I mean she had a spinning bird kick,
Uh huh.
and that to me was like one of the most exotic looking moves. You know what I mean? And so
As
I was like
opposed
really into
to
that.
as opposed to Ken and Ryu's spin kicks.
I mean, Ken and Ryu, they had the hurricane kick, which was cool too. I like that, but it just wasn't no spinning bird kick. And I used to do the spinning bird kick and pause the screen because something's wrong with me. But anyway,
You wanted to
I
see up that dress?
I
Damn,
don't know.
Fanatic is Japanese from the heart.
Yeah, it was that was bad. I was bad. I was young. I was a good 8 years old. I don't know what was wrong with me. But anyway, but no, I always liked female characters in games because I always felt like they had just cooler moves. They were like always flexible and did like crazy stuff. Like Chun-Li, she did her spinning bird kick, right? But then I can't think of the game. Like if you look at Kim Woo in
Oh, and
Killer
not
Instinct,
Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like
Killer
she would
Instinct
do.
Gold.
Yeah, she would do like some real weird flip splits kick and stuff. It was nuts. Like they always had really interesting. In Orchid, she had like some weird flick flat kick where she would like do like a cartwheel and spin around. It always
Now,
looked real
I
cool.
think I know why you liked Orchid because of that fatality that she had there.
No, I didn't even know how to do the fatality. I wanted to know desperately when
Was
people told me about it,
did you get
but
into
I
did you get into more Killer Instinct?
absolutely well, Killer Instinct is one of the best one player games ever created.
I gotta say, like, for that game, it was all about Saberwolf for me. It was like, yo, Wolf dude, I'm gonna pick that Wolf dude.
I
Same
mean, I
with,
started with Orchid first.
yeah, who'd you finish with?
Um, Eventually got to where I would play everybody, but I wasn't playing at a competitive level. I just played good enough to beat everyone I knew.
All right, so here's a different question. What was the first gaming tournament? Not the first like, not the fighting game tournament. What was the first gaming tournament? And have you always been sort of competitive at the games that you played or anything you've involved yourself in?
Does it have to be an electronic game?
No, just being competitive. Okay, let's go instead of let's veer away from video games and say competitively speaking. What was the first thing that you entered?
Um, Man,
And what was it about that that made you be like, you know what? I like
you know
competing.
what? Growing up in my house, we didn't have a television, right?
Okay.
And so since we didn't have a TV, for entertainment, and my mom didn't really like us going outside that much, to be honest with you. She liked us to be pretty sheltered. Um, and so for entertainment, most of the things we did was competitive things around the house. So we would play this game called Knockout, and there was the living room. There were two couches aside from each other, right?
Bro,
And
some
you
ghetto
would
shit.
yeah, we had a tennis ball,
Hmm.
and you had to make the ball. You had to hit the tennis ball and make the tennis ball hit the couch, and the other person had to block it to prevent it from hitting the couch.
Oh, it's
And
like
that was the whole
it's kind of
game.
like what's that? What's that? They play a game like that with rackets, right? And they
Uh,
bounce. What the fuck is it called? You know what I'm talking about? Like that. It's like two people got like a tennis racket and they keep bouncing it off a wall, and the next person tries to like bat it as it's coming off the wall.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it.
You know
It's
what I'm
racket,
talking about, right? It's
like
usually in
racket.
movies with rich white people.
Absolutely. They did it in that one movie with Holly Berry, and I can't remember the name of it. It had Halle Berry and Tommy Davidson. I'm so old. I can't think of the name of it, but
Okay.
but yeah, it's a really you know what I'm saying. But we would do stuff like that. We would race with skates when we got to go outside. We all had skates, and we would play Monopoly. We had like all the board games, Monopoly categories. We never had Ball or Dash. I always wanted it. Life. We
These are
played them
board games,
all.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got Crossfire for Christmas one year. It was our family present, and that was our best. That was like the best game ever. Like, I was just very competitive. I liked Hungry Hungry Hippos. Like, any game that came out, like, anything that was competitive. We would do that. I think one of the first competitive tournaments I ever entered in was a checkers tournament at the apartments that we lived in. And my family was really big into checkers, and they created new rules. We played with all kinds of, black rules. Like, we were able to, like the king in checkers. The way we played it, you could zigzag or do a pyramid motion, and that was
What
like
the
that's not the way it
fuck?
moves. It's only allowed to move once. But that's the way we were playing originally, and then eventually we played with Flying Kings, where a king could go anywhere as like far as the map could go, just as long as he didn't zigzag or anything. He could just go whatever. But when we played
That
there,
is some real black people rules. They
very
just make
black,
this shit up
right?
as they go along.
Absolutely. And then when we were in the tournament, though, they were like, no, a king can only move one move, and you can't move backwards whatsoever.
What?
And you know what I mean?
No, but
Like,
kings can move backwards in checkers,
no, no, the
though.
king can, but a regular
Okay.
piece can't. And we used to have a rule where it's like you could jump backwards as long as you were going to jump forward on the next move. Like, we were always influenced by different people who would come over and be like, no, this is how you play checkers. But long
Wow.
story short,
So you mentioned tournaments, right?
yes.
So
So
did you
there was a
actually enter
tournament in the
checkers tournaments?
apartments. Yes, there was a tournament in the apartments, and I had to be
Whoa.
about 9 years old.
Hmm.
And he told us the rules, and it was like, "Yo, like the actual official checkers rules," and we had to play
Hmm.
by those rules. And I got second place at that tournament.
Wow.
Heartbroken.
Second place. What is second place? Was there a pay to enter or
Nah, it wasn't pay to enter.
it was just
Everybody,
for fun, right?
yeah, it was just for fun. And you got ribbons. They gave out ribbons, and I think there might have been a little prize.
This was in your apartment?
Yeah, in our apartment
This is pretty
complex.
cool. So the landlord or the owner of the building put it on or whatever?
Yeah, and there was like 1,000 kids there, which also added to the competitiveness
That's actually
because
pretty cool. I mean, was this geared towards more so for children, or was it just for adults, or?
it was for everyone. Even the manager himself entered, and he was pretty good. He was an older guy, maybe like late 50s, early 60s,
Okay.
and my older brother Joel got first place. I got second place, and my brother Johan got third place. And
That's not bad, man. All in the family.
yeah, but it was still disappointing just because I played Joel on a regular basis, and he beat me obviously more often than I beat him. But I could have beaten him, and it's not that I could have. It just, either way, it can always happen. And then I remember before our match when it was finally us, and I was walking around, I'm like, man, I could beat Joel, I could beat him, and I was like, like I thought I could do it, and then. And I lost. And he had told somebody, was like, yeah, man, I was gonna let him beat me, but then since he was walking around thinking he could, so I could. And so I got second place, and I hated it. I didn't like. I didn't like that at all.
Okay, so how old were you when you started entering video game tournaments competitively?
Um, I was 18.
18. So that's quite a quite a stretch. For you said you played your first fighting game when you were 8 years old, but didn't get competitive in any sort of video game until you were 18. So 10 years later, was there
But
just a
see,
lot of different things going on in your life, or?
well, no, no, no. See, I was competitive. Like, I mean, I was extremely competitive in all the video games I played. I always wanted to be the best. And the thing is, it's just I didn't understand the gaming world. I didn't even go to arcades. Like, I didn't know about Family Fun Arcade or that kind of environment existed until I was 18. So, but I mean, like in my local, whatever. I think my junior year in high school. Yeah, was it sophomore year? Yeah, my sophomore year in high school. My sophomore year in high school, my mom enrolled me in some college classes or whatever at the community college, and they had an arcade machine in there. They had a little arcade in the cafeteria, and it had Marvel versus Capcom, Tekken, Giga Wing. I think it was Tekken 3 at the time. Yeah, Giga Wing and Street Fighter Alpha. No, Street Fighter 3, Third Strike, and they had all those
Oh,
games
okay.
in there and some racing games, whatever. And so I would go to there, and like in the beginning, it was like I just went there a few days, and I was losing, and I was going back and forth with some people, and then like it consumed me. It's like no, I got to beat all these people, and it got to the point to where I could beat them all, and I just that's all I wanted to do. It got to the point where I would show up to the class in the morning because it was a really early morning class, and I would go for like 20 minutes, and then I would just walk out and go to the cafeteria and play until I didn't have quarters. And then when I would see someone I knew, I'd be like, "Hey, let me borrow some
Can't
quarters."
borrow a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would play till I didn't have any bus money, and then I would go run to the bus and at the last minute because I was still staying at the arcade
Mhm.
and trying to catch the bus, and I'd be like, yo, I was running, and back then I wasn't the person that I am now, so I'd actually lie, and I'd tell the bus driver like, hey, listen, I was running and I dropped my change, and I can't, you know what I mean? And because I was so young, I'm a little
Wow.
kid trying to catch the bus, he would let me on it,
Mhm.
and
How
it's
does
just
that even make any sense? Like you were running and then you dropped all your change.
I mean, no, while I was running to catch the bus, I mean, it
Yeah.
fell out of my hand, and I couldn't do it. I guess the story I gave him, multiple different bus drivers, and I would catch the bus, and then I would go to school, to the other school, to my high school, and
So now, did any of them ever
I
was
wanted to
right?
win. I wanted to win. I always wanted to win. Like I did not want to lose ever, and so that was like I was still competitive. I just didn't even know FFA existed back then. I didn't know about that. I mean, I just knew I wanted to beat everybody in
So what
my.
was your taste? Where was your first taste of like being in a tournament atmosphere where everybody wants to win as badly as you do? Like what game was it? When was it? And what was your first team?
Well, before I got into a tournament atmosphere, I mean, I would go to arcades where everybody wanted to win, but my very first tournament, actually, it was a team tournament at Family Fun Arcade. It was a 3v3, and players from NorCal came up. Players from everybody from SoCal was there, and I was using MSP since the very first day I went to FFA. I had already been using MSP, and my teammates, it was me, Elon, and Mega Man DS, and we did all right. We did pretty good in that tournament. I remember beating Ducto in that tournament. Um, I
So when
beat
did you actually? Okay, so you mentioned a few key players there. So it was Mega Man DS and who else?
Elon.
Elon. All right, so those two are also well-known Marvel players. Mega Man DS, I think he made top eight once or twice at Evo.
Yeah,
Yeah, and no, and then the last time I think it was 2010 when they had Marvel there, he was beaten by Baby Wolverine.
absolutely.
And there was a video of you after he beat DS. You were pretty upset, saying like, "Money match, I want a money match," and he's like, "You're not gonna kill my buzz." Da 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 da. I
Yeah.
mean, did you guys actually money match later on after that?
Was that the time? Uh, I mean, I believe I did. Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
I did. I did. I bopped him really bad. It was 10,
so
10 to 1,
that's
10 to 1.
pretty. It was pretty savage. So would you would you say that your a lot of the factoring into you getting better at say Marvel 2 because that was your first competitive game stemmed from friendships with other players at your level who are equally competitive like MMDS and Elon?
Absolutely. It started off. I had a dude that taught me. His name was Mayo. He used to go to different tournaments. He would go to Sugar, Southern Hills Golfland and stuff, and he would tell me stories about it. I wanted to go so bad, and I never went, because I was too young or whatever. But and it was far. But when I, he was my trainer. He taught me like higher level Marvel, because at the time I didn't know anything. And he was the one that first told me about Shoryuken. He would show me things like, I remember he showed me the guard break with Cable. He would show me that, and he would show me different stuff, and I would just be like, "Whoa, bro!" Like, and I was like amazed, like complete fanboy nerd geek, amazed. And he would and then one day I was like, "Wow, how do you know this?" And he was like, "Dude, have you ever heard of Shoryuken.com?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Dude, go to that site. That's where
Did you
you
have a
find all the
computer?
information." I did have a computer, and I
Okay.
went to that website, and I was trying to find, because they were telling me that Dalsim. There was a video online, and it was saying that Dalsim was top tier. Dalsim and Anakiris were top tier in
Oh, how
Marvel.
quickly Anna Curious dropped from that.
Well, I couldn't even get the video. You had to be. Yeah, there were some specifications to get the video, and I wanted it so bad. I still want to see that video. But either way,
I think
I never
that's
saw
sort
it.
of like when they had that X-Men vs Street Fighter Cyclops combo on there, and then Marvel Capcom 1 they had those Mega Man combos on there, and they
Yeah,
had Clockwork's videos on there. That's when like SRK looked really really old. What was it? It was called something different before Shuriken.com, I think, as well.
Since I
Can't
knew it was
remember.
sure you can.
I got a 2003 account on SRK, not anything older, but I remember Jinrai used to tell me, that's an Edmonton player, they used to tell me about what it was called beforehand, and sort of the hecticness of how it was back then. But anyways, so you said that so you said that you were sort of fanboy esque, but it seemed like you started with a very top tier team. I mean, when I first started playing Marvel Capcom, I was too. I played Spider Man and Wolverine in Marvel One, and I played Chung Li and Storm and X Men vs Street Fighter. So the second I started playing Marvel 2, I was like, oh, I'm gonna pick Storm, Spider Man, and Chung Li, and these guys the best in these games. So and then like, and even though people were like, no man, you gotta pick Iceman, who was for whatever reason Iceman was top tier for the longest time. Um, I stuck with my characters until it
Yeah,
was fairly obvious that nah, Spider-Man's ass and Chun-Li's kind of ass too. So, I
yeah.
mean, what was it? I mean, then when you came into this game, were you immediately like, yo, I like Magneto, Storm, and
No,
Psylocke. They're my favorite X-Men characters.
absolutely not. My very first team, I believe, was Chun Li. It was Chun Li, Strider, and I think Morgan.
That's a
Chun-Li
weird
and
team.
Strider. In Marvel 1, I mained it was at one point it was Chun-Li Wolverine, and then eventually I switched it to Chun-Li Strider, and then eventually it became Strider Wolverine. And so those when I first no, it wasn't Morgan. It wasn't Morgan. It was Chun-Li Strider, someone else. I can't remember, but it definitely wasn't. Oh, Psylocke. The second she was unlocked, I wanted to play her because I loved Psylocke in regular Marvel superheroes. I've always liked that character.
She's alright.
And so yeah, so I was playing them, and I was just really playing characters that I liked. I didn't know anything about it, and I was trying to be competitive, and there were people that would beat me at my arcade, and one day these dudes showed up, and one of them they both used Sentinel and One of them used Magneto and something else. But either way, I saw the Magneto player, and he did launch, jab short, air dash up forward, jab short, roundhouse. So he did like a double air combo, and I was like, whoa, he gets to do two air combos and well, you know what I mean? And I was just like, I'm gonna learn Magneto, and then
So who did you draw
from that,
first from your
um,
team?
I mean, at that point, I was just picking any characters. I remember I thought I was the best in the world, and I was playing Spiral, War Machine, BB Hood. I thought you couldn't get out of that corner trap. I was playing a friend of mine, and I would just lock him down, and he couldn't move. And I was like, yo, I don't think anyone can get out of this. I'm probably the best in the world. And that's the way I thought back then. And so, at that point, I was just picking different characters. And so then the first character, I don't know, I just remember playing Magneto and some and just random other characters. And then one day I saw Magneto Psylocke, and my friend he did short Psylocke, crouching short, roundhouse hypergraph. And I was like, whoa, now they're still back in the same state. You can just launch them and do whatever thing you want to do. I was like,
Yeah.
this is a broken. this is the best thing I've ever seen. And so then from that point on, it was like I'm going to use Magneto Psylocke. And then this is before I even knew that MSP was a team. And then one day I saw a friend of mine, and he picked that same dude, male. One day he picked Storm, and he did super jump, fierce, fierce, fierce. And he was floating, and then he did air dash, fierce, 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 lightning attack, fierce, fierce, fierce. And he built like all this meter, and he was running away. And I was like, "There's nothing you could do." What? So then it was Magneto, Storm, and Psylocke. It was before I even understood that the team worked together. I knew I was going to use Magneto. And once I saw that Magneto Psylocke worked like that, I was like, I'm definitely going to use Psylocke. And then when I saw Storm being able to run away, I was like, I'm going to use Storm.
I gotta say, I picked Storm all the way until I decided I liked the way I watched Clockwork play Stridoom. I was like,
Mhm.
Storm and these two characters look really good. And I got to the point where I could with Strider, I could launch, teleport, throw into Doom's assist.
Mhm.
And then I didn't progress much further after that. I found Clara and found out about X-Men versus Street Fighter. So I was like, shit, holy shit! I remember I actually saw the first Evo trailer, and they're showing, and no, not the trailer, the video, like actual footage of it. And I was watching the CC Infinites in the game, and I was like, oh my god, how are they still in the air? And
Yeah.
they showed I think it was Liquid Metal, the Japanese one who was doing Iron Man's Infinite. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god, how is he still hitting him? So that was it, when it blew me away, and I was like, what is Evo? What is Evo? And I remember like, how do you even pronounce it? How was EVO? And then started seeing more footage. So when did you step from the casual sort of picking the low tier team and enter a tournament with the expectation of winning? Was there a name? Can you remember the name of the tournament? Can you remember some of the heavy hitters that entered there, and how you placed?
My very first tournament was that team tournament. And well, I again, like, it's so weird, like, I mean, because I guess technically I was a casual player, but you gotta understand, like, from the very beginning I always wanted to be the best in the world at this game. And I'd seen videos, like, by the time I hit my junior year, I'd seen videos. I remember there were these videos called MWC5, which I guess was Midwest Challenge
Yeah,
5.
yeah, yeah.
And those videos were all online. I used to go to GameCombos.com and download all the
That's
latest match
really old
videos.
school. That's before combovideos.com.
Yeah. And then I think GameCombos.com, they switched its name to something else. But and I would go on the IRC channels and I would download everything, and I was like Mighty's biggest fanboy ever, like truly, like his biggest.
Whatever the hell
It was
happened to So
bad.
Mighty? That was Justin Wong's nemesis for a long time.
Well, I don't want to call him his nemesis. I mean, he only beat him in one team tournament. And
Yo, but
outside of
what about
that,
those no respect snapos? You can't forget that.
yeah, no, that was one of the most hyped matches I think I've ever seen in my life. At back, up to that
I
point.
think he did 5 or 6 no respect snapbacks in that match. At the end, he was slapping. I don't know if it was Psylocke it was or a Cyclops, but whoever the last character is got slapped like Magneto. Like she had like Magneto was a pimp and she
The Sentinel.
disrespected him.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
Magneto's like his heavy loop looks like in Marvel 3? That's
Mhm.
all I saw. It just snap, snap.
Yeah.
And then he did the
This is
wrong.
how you know how
snap.
bad of a fanboy I was and how much I used to watch those matches.
Yeah.
There was 7 matches total, and the final snap was on Sentinel, and 5 of the snapbacks were the disrespectful ones that he didn't even need to do. The first 2
Wow.
were actually part of gameplay.
And that was before Justin Wong even won his first tournament, his first Marvel 2 tournament at Evo, I should say.
Yeah.
So was there a lot of excitement for East Coast versus West Coast, or did we still have the NorCal versus SoCal?
I wasn't connected enough to the scene back then, so
Okay.
I didn't even see it.
Now you're a pad player. I mean, you started playing fighting games seriously on the Nintendo. You said with Karate Champ, and on the Super Nintendo with Street Fighter. And you sort of were forced to be in an arcade setting where controllers were not prevalent, and
Yeah.
sort of the idea of playing on console was like, what? I mean, you got to play in the arcade, son. You can't use the controller. So how did you transition? I mean, did you have to go out of your way to buy an arcade stick? Were you always trying to practice on an arcade stick? And when did you just say, finally, you know what, F it, I'm going to use a controller?
Well, I would use I always preferred a pad, because it's just what I grew up with. I feel the most comfortable on it to this day. But when I would go to FFA, I knew how to play on an arcade because Marvel 2, before it came to console, I was playing it in an arcade setting. So when it first came to console, I wasn't even comfortable with it on pad. In fact, I don't think I became truly comfortable with Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on pad until it got released on the PS2. And so I was the most comfortable. So when I went to FFA, it wasn't like it was like this is some foreign concept to me because I played Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter um, and the old Marvel Superheroes. I played all those games back on a pad, back in the day. So like I knew those. I mean I played those games in the arcade when I went to oh let me go. Let me. I gotta correct some things. Yeah, I normally say I didn't start going to arcades until I was older. We had an arcade in my town called Nickelmania when I was about 13 years old.
Nickelmania?
Yeah, because
Damn.
you would pay, it was nickels instead of quarters,
All
but it
right.
was multiple it was nickels, so you'd only save 5 cents a game. But if you broke a dollar, you would be able to play 5 times as opposed to four.
Okay.
And so what happened was I would I would play there, but it was like just randomly I would show up and play, and I didn't even understand air combos back then. I didn't know anything, so I was really bad. And I would play every game. I would play just random games and Puzzle Bobble and all sorts of stuff. So, but I mean, like, I still, though, even back then, I wanted to win. And I would beat a lot of people with not knowing what I was doing.
Were you just kind of
But
sort of button mashing, or could you do the Magic series?
I couldn't do the Magic series, and I couldn't button mash. But I would I would just, like jump towards you and air grab you and launch you if you came underneath me, and I wouldn't jump follow you up in air combo. I would just like try to walk to the other side and launch you and like mix you up that
Yo,
way.
that's really old. That's like
Super ghetto.
Ryu and whoever. Ryu and like one of the Shotos, he just launch, go on the side, launch, go on the side. And people are like, I don't know which way to block. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was playing like that. I mean, I would, just wait and then hope that you were pressing buttons and just randomly do maximum spider. Like, and there was no real method to it. But then once I got one of those games at home and I learned air combos, it was done. It changed, revolutionized the way I looked at the game. But so anyway, so I knew fighting games on arcade, but I just, I wasn't comfortable. When it came out on PS2 is when I actually got decent. That's the first time I got like beyond just, kind of bad, like, just not knowing top level tactics. I taught a friend of mine named Creedot, Ricky. I taught him how to play Marvel, and then when he got good, I would teach him everything about the game, like from scratch. I mean, he had literally never touched any game besides Street Fighter 2 since he was a young kid.
So
With his
when did
dad, like
you
in his five.
so when did you first make contact with Mega Man DS, and was he super competitive and know about the scene? And were you sort of like new in order only sort of knowing from that person you idolized beforehand?
Mega Man DS, so he had already known the scene. Like he had been to all the tournaments, and I met him at first when I was 18.
He bears a
And,
striking resemblance to Knives.
does he?
Yeah, they're both ugly. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh gosh, here we go. I
I'm
mean, I
just
can't
kidding.
defend the niggas. I mean, I gotta let him rock on that. But
I'm just kidding. Yo, I love MMDS. I've known him since I think about 2003, for X-Men, and like I remember I sort of came in on a controller, and even Dogface would just kind of be like, if you come to Evolution, it's all an arcade stick. The end, LOL. And I'd be like, fuck, man. Like I always think to myself, like, don't you want to play someone like who's even better than on a joystick, but they're on a pad? And the argument was three punches versus like regular buttons, like
yeah,
a regular arcade layout. And I'd be like, no, man, I'm like Goku on this shit. I used to like go hype. I used to like type all this. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, 8 paragraph, big wall of text. No, I'm never pressing the enter button. Like, you don't know how godlike I am. I didn't even use words like that. I mean, improper grammar. You couldn't make out what I was saying. Oh, you knew I was angry and I wanted to win and I was hungry as hell. And then, by the time I had to actually go to a tournament inside my city, it's like, damn, I had to use a joystick. And like the first joystick I ever owned was that Street Fighter Anniversary stick. A
yeah.
horrible, horrible joystick. And I remember God is like, oh man, this thing is ugly. So I mean, okay, so when you trained at home, did you own a joystick or were you playing the pad?
Pad forever.
So how did that transfer when you were playing on the pad and practicing all your concepts, all your, all putting in all your work there, and then you go to an arcade and then you're having to transfer it over and sort of relearn each time you go to the arcade. I mean, even if you went all the time, you still have to relearn when you're there because you're not practicing on it.
Absolutely. Well, when I would go to the arcade in the beginning, like the first few times I went to FFA, I didn't win like any games. Like I remember I went like and I was there for like 4 hours and I didn't win a single game.
That's a long
Um,
time. That's a part-time job.
it was very long, and I mean that's just what I was doing. I mean I would go there and I would stay all night and I would lose and but I was happy to be there, just seeing people do play. And so remember one day eventually I said to myself, I'd gotten a car or whatever, and I was like, you know what, in order for me to play. Because FFA was far, but I was like, in order for me to get good enough to play with these people who were obviously so far above my level, because eventually I'd surpassed, the guy who had taught me,
Hmm.
and I was like, so in order for me to get decent to get to these guys' levels, I got to play them, and I got to get better on a pad. So I mean, get better on the joystick. So I would go to the arcade every day, and I would play, nonstop. Well, not every day, but when I would go earlier. Like, instead of making it like a nightly trip where I'd go like around 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I would go like really, really early morning. I mean, not early. Like early for me back then was like 6 o'clock ish, and I'd go like 6 o'clock, and I'd stay there until they closed at 2 back then.
Holy.
Um, and so, and I would just be on the joystick all day, and I would like, and
Where'd you
I
get all
would
this money
adjust.
from? This is when you're asking your friends and jumping and like sneaking your way on the bus and everything. You're like,
Oh no! Back then, I had a gig. I would make $75 an hour playing music, and so
hey,
I
that's
didn't
something I want to ask you about. So how old were you when you started playing musical instruments?
three.
3. So what was your
Yeah,
first instrument you played?
piano.
And have you learned to play any other instruments?
Yeah, I play 5 instruments. I play piano, baritone, tuba, trombone, clarinet.
Something about Fanatic having a giant, tuba.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing too, is because so I was in band in high school, and they didn't, and the band was small because bands nowadays, especially where they're smaller than they used to be, and he the instructor knew that I had this gift with music or whatever, and so it started off like our trombone section. One of the trombone players was ineligible, and the other one had graduated. So they were like, yeah, we're short on our trombones. So then he was like, hey, would you learn trombone? I mean, and he was like, who we need someone to learn trombone. I'm like, I'll learn trombone because I've been playing clarinet since forever. And so he said, would you really learn it? He's like, yeah. He's like, well, take this with you over spring break. Or was it winter break? It was, I don't know. Either way, it was like I had a week off of spring break. I think it was spring break. But either way, I had it and I took it home with me. And in the beginning, it was very hard for me to make a sound. But by the time I came back that next week, I could play, by ear. So I could play everything I wanted. And so then, so I was a trombone at that point because we had like the hugest clarinet section ever. And so then he was like, I was doing it, and then when it was time for graduation for the upperclassmen, whatever, our band played "Pompin' for Professional," the graduation song for the older folks. I mean, for the people that were graduating, and one of our tubas was ineligible, and one of the tubas was actually graduating, so it was like we needed tuba, we needed a bass section, and I was like, I'll do it. And now, mind you, I was a really small dude, and it was just like I was like, I'll do it. And it was like, you'll really do it? And I was like, yes. So it's like, boom.
So
He
you're
just
like
gave me.
excited to do it.
He gave me, uh, like, you know what I mean? Like it gave me everything. You know what I mean? It's just like, every time we needed an instrument, he would, give that to me, and I would play it, and it was really easy for me, and I totally understood it. Um, so it was like I just learned instruments that way. Whatever instrument they had there, I
All
would
right,
play it.
just give me 1 second. Just so everybody knows, there's like only 24 people watching, but every now and then Fanatic's webcam will just pause or the color will go awkward. I'm just gonna let everybody know that I have no idea why that's happening. I have no idea how to make that not happen. But just for clarification, I am aware that that's happening, and if there's anything I can do to stop that, I will definitely do that. I can't see the chat because of the way that my webcam works. I have to be in a Skype call. So just letting people know that I am aware of it. Nothing I could do about it. Um,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So GF just told me, that thing, da, da, da. So I can hear her. She speaks very silent. But anyways, So would you say that your gift with playing musical instruments, primarily the piano, is what you get paid for, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that that transferred heavily into your ability to adapt to the arcade stick fairly quickly? I mean, because the cognitive skills that you need with the piano, right, and the ability to hit keys when you need to hit them every single time. Um, I mean, did that help significantly when trying to play on on the joystick? I mean, was it an easy transfer?
Absolutely. As far as the right hand,
Hmm.
yeah, the buttons, it was simple. Like it was the easiest thing. I've always felt very confident, like with buttons, as far as like dashing and stuff. I felt like okay, it's free. The only thing was my left hand is just as it is in piano is always underdeveloped. I feel like my left hand is retarded, and so when it came to that, I couldn't do shoryukens. I never could do those that motion, and I couldn't do so I just felt very awkward on the joystick. So for me, I didn't want to play like I always felt very uncomfortable on a joystick just because of my left hand. As far as buttons and things, yes, it was definitely a very easy thing as far as buttons were concerned. And I learned from instruments the discipline that was required to get better at piano. Like just I mean at anything, you just discipline, and I transfer that to everything I do in life.
And apparently, when apparently you play other games that are aside from fighting games. You play some sort of music games, if I'm correct. You have a world record in one.
Um, Well, I set a bunch of U.S. records in Beatmania back in the day, but those records they would always get it was a ranking site, but at one point some of my scores were the number one ranked score in the U.S.,
So
which was pretty
what
cool.
stopped you from wanting to continue that? Like, I mean, I would think with your musical background that a game like Guitar Hero would be just free.
My family had an intervention.
Well, they say no
Uh,
more music games.
well, dead serious, like they didn't want me playing Beatmania anymore.
Why?
I was developing carpal tunnel, and
Oh wow.
the game was contributing to serious antisocial tendencies, and it was an
Could you
addiction.
elaborate on that a little bit more?
Well, when I was playing Beatmania, I had like friends, but my friends were only friends that played Beatmania, and I would do that every day, all day. I would play, over 8 hours a day for a while.
Did you buy one of
Um,
those Beatmania things for your PS? You did.
Absolutely, yeah, I had one of those, and that's like literally was my life.
Did you ever
And
play
my
those
family,
keyboard DDR games?
yes, I was very good at Statmania. I had set some world records in that too.
So okay, so did you were you developing any sort of carpal tunnel from playing on the keyboard when you're trying to play Beatmania or trying to play DDR on there or Stepmania? Sorry,
No, no. Well, I
because
mean, I didn't play it enough, I don't think. But like
usually
I know,
secretaries, people who are in secretarial positions do develop carpal tunnel, right? So I'm just wondering that because you're having to press X amount of keys just as much as someone who's typing, right? Maybe that might
yeah.
contribute to it. And then the
But
next question
I didn't play
is,
for the hours that I did. Like it wasn't the same amount of hours.
would you say you played that more than you played any other game in your life?
What, Beatmania?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Wow.
That game, like it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, like looking back on it now, it's like it's just I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I was neglecting pretty much everything else in life to play
So
that game.
if there was a tournament, say X amount of dollars, would you try to pick the game up again?
No.
This game was like crack for you then, basically,
Yeah.
like an
I,
addictive, very addictive. What was so
I
addictive about it though?
well, I mean, I think the game was made for me. I mean, my since I'm 3 years old, I love music. I've always loved music.
Yeah.
Before then, I've always been very attracted to music. It was a way that was the only way they could get me to stop crying when I was a baby. They would sing a song to me.
Do you
So
sing at all?
do I sing?
Yeah.
Not really. Like not like that. Like I mean, I guess I could hold a tune, but I'm not a singer or anything like that. No.
So
But
like you're a musician that can sing, not a singing musician.
absolutely, there you go.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm in love with music, and then you give me this game where I'm gonna make music. I'm making the music is based off of my presses, and so I'm not only listening to great music, but I'm actually contributing to and making the music. It's like, I mean, what the freak? Of course, I'm in love. It's like you're turning the piano basically into a video game.
Now, have you ever like
You know,
decided maybe want to get into making beats for people or writing songs for people and selling them?
oh, I compose all the time. I make beats. I've sold beats.
So, what kind
It's
of music do you play?
everything.
I mean,
Very
primarily,
good.
what is like your
There is no
forte?
primary. I promise you.
No, I
I
mean, but
promise you.
if you had a
Everyone says
choice,
that, but I promise you, like
okay.
literally every genre of music outside of heavy metal.
Hmm.
I play classical. Like if people come to my stream and they'll tell you all the time, like when I listen to classical music some days. I
Hmm.
listen to electronic dance music some days. I listen to R&B some days. I listen to rock. I listen to country. I listen to bluegrass. Like I mean, James Taylor is one of my favorite. You know what I mean? And then, but at the same time, I absolutely love Beyonce. So it's like, you know what I mean? I like,
Beyonce? You mean Beyonce?
you know what
Beyonce
I'm
is a
talking about.
game character that you created for yourself, not an
I
actual musician.
mean,
Um, as
but I
as
mean,
a
I listen to them all.
as a
So I
pianist,
play everything as well.
all right, as a pianist, I know people are gonna tear that word apart and mix it up, but as a pianist, who is your favorite composer of all time?
Franz Liszt.
Friends list?
Franz Liszt.
Oh, Franz Liszt.
Franz. Yeah, Lizst.
So Franz Liszt over Bach, over Beethoven.
I'm not a big fan of Bach. Most of his stuff, I'm not. Beethoven was like, you know, as a child growing up, that's my idol.
Hmm.
I loved, I loved it all. I loved Beethoven's music, but as I got older, I was very, very much into the Romantic era of music, and so Franz Liszt was my favorite.
Hmm. Interesting. Sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of that ugly color that keeps popping up.
Also,
Um, so, do you think you've ever produced any music that was on the level of your childhood idol?
no,
No. And
he's
this
a G.
just, I mean, if you had a chance to go on stage with any musician that is alive right now, who would you want it to be?
Beyonce.
Beyonce. He said it again. Beyonce.
I don't even know who that is.
Who you don't know who Beyonce is?
Nah, I mean, I know who Beyonce is. But I don't
Beyonce.
know no
What the?
Beyonce.
Okay. Beyonce's the name on your T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's the storm with the Beyonce head. Beyonce, come on, man.
Oh, is that what that is? I thought Beyonce was
This is a
Beyonce.
failed troll here. That's what it is. Look at your damn Facebook picture.
Yeah, all day.
But
Like, yeah, but I mean, it just depends on on what mood I'm in right there. You know what I mean? I would love to perform with James Taylor, obviously. I would love to perform with Stevie Wonder. My
oh
God,
yeah.
I'd have given my everything to play with Michael Jackson. I mean, he was
What about
another
Ray
person.
Charles?
I liked Ray Charles. I mean, he wasn't an idol. I didn't idolize him. You know, he was before my time. Before I got into, I didn't get into his. I got into his music too late, like
Hmm.
posthumously.
So getting back to games now, because I know you could go on forever about music.
All day.
Um, when did you take the center stage as one of SoCal's next level players?
Man, you
Do you
know what
remember
kind
the
of happened?
tournament where you placed top three and people like, holy crap, it's Fnatic.
Man, by the time I started getting really, really solid, there were less and less tournaments. You know, it wasn't during the tournament phase where it got to the point to where I was able to compete with all of them. It was during the part. There was a point in time when Marvel 2 was dying. You know, and it died. It was dying for like 6 years. You know, and during one of the point in times when it was dying, and I was playing people, and I got to the point to where I was finally able to keep up and beat. I'd beaten Sue Mighty a few times and Elon finally and Combo Fiend and Amir and just like all the people that I looked up to, I was able to keep up with them.
Chunksta?
Um, Chunksta, yeah, I had beaten him in several money matches. In fact, I have a much better record against him in money matches. But
Here's an interesting question. I gotta ask you this interesting question. Now, near the end of Marvel 2's era, it was fairly obvious that the West Coast became fairly dominant in Marvel 2. Um,
I don't know if I could agree with that.
I'm gonna say this because the last time Justin and Sanford and Yipes were in a tournament where a lot of West Coast players were, and they didn't. Not none of them three won.
Which tournament? The last tournament they went to was Seasons Beatings, and they won that. That was
And for Marvel
Yipes.
2,
Yeah, Yipes won.
when was this?
Seasons Beatings Redemption, 2K9 or 2K10, one of
No,
those years.
I'm thinking of 2010 when Evo officially said that Marvel 2 was done. And I was in the room when you guys were doing the East Coast versus West Coast. I believe it was supposed to be Justin, Yipes, Sanford, Smooth Viper versus you, Chunksta, Schmidt, and I can't remember who the last person was. And for whatever reason, Justin wasn't there. Smooth Viper wasn't there. Yipes was very drunk, and it was just Sanford versus you guys. And you guys were money matching them. And then someone's like, "Yo, the East Coast is dead. East Coast gotta hand that over." And they were yelling at Sanford saying, "Take his team from him. This guy got this big stage. Take the stage from him." And a lot of people were saying that East Coast isn't going to win another tournament ever again. And I can't really remember a tournament they won after that.
The next tournament that year was Seasons Beatings Redemption, and East Coast won.
Who won that? It was Jipes, right? Now,
Yeah.
would you say now you're MSP? He's an MSP.
Mhm.
What do you feel is a better MSP? You guys did a race to 10 right now, Marvel 2. Let's say that you guys are both in your prime. He's in his prime for Marvel 2, so are you, right? If you guys are playing a race to 10 right now, who would win?
Well, I mean, it depends. If I'm playing on a Dreamcast where I lose an assist, he's probably gonna win. I feel like if I was playing on the PS2 and I had both of my assists, I'd beat anybody in the world.
Anybody in the world.
I
Okay,
mean, it sucks because no one ever got to see it. They always had to see me with that handicap, losing that assist.
so who would you say is the one person that you wouldn't want a money match in Marvel 2?
Win. Like now, you're saying?
At their prime and you in your prime. Who's
Well,
one?
there was no person.
There's no person. Like, but wasn't Justin sort of like the most scariest person for anybody to even want to clash swords with?
Ask Justin. I used to ask him to money match me all the time.
He just said no.
Yeah, well, and it's not he just said no, but I mean, at one point, he kind of not focused on Marvel at the time, and he was just like, "Yo, man, like,
There's
I'm
a new
not
game
feeling it."
coming out.
Yeah, he was into like, that he'd finally gotten into Third Strike and CVS and all those other games like competitively, and so he was just like, nah, he wasn't feeling it. But I used to ask him. I came from a different mindset than all these people nowadays. I was always hungry. I asked everyone to money match me. I wanted to play these people, and I knew that the likelihood of me running into all of them in tournament wasn't going to happen because half of them were going to eliminate each other. So I wanted to play Sue. I wanted to play Yipes. Once I found out he was good, I'm like, I want to play Yipes, and so I would ask all of them like, yo, money match me when they were at their prime.
And they said no.
It wasn't always a no. A lot of times it's just like, we'll try to get around to it later. I'm not feeling it right now. Things
See,
like
but
that.
you weren't like, there's a Dreamcast right here. Look, I brought one in my backpack. We can set it up right now.
I mean, I wasn't about to be a retard about it, but I mean, I wanted to play them, and they knew it. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted to, and I would try, and if it could, I would. I wanted to play Smooth Viper.
Were they ever like, how much? And you're like, maybe like $50. Do you think maybe if you offered them for like a ridiculous amount?
I wasn't gonna play them for a ridiculous amount. I mean, I wanted to play them, and I wanted to see how I stood against them, and I wanted to try to beat them. But I wasn't gonna play them for no $1,000.
Speaking of a ridiculous amount, you did do a $50,000 money match, correct?
Yeah.
How did that even come to be? Like that $50,000 was present. 50,000 is this $2,500 on your side, 25,000 on your side, 25,000 their side, or is it 50-50?
It was 28-21.
What?
It was 28,021. There were odds involved.
Okay.
But yeah,
Tell
it
me
was
about this person that you money matched. Because
What's
this is what a lot of people know, that you did the $50,000 money match. A lot of people don't know who you money matched.
Oh, they know. I money matched Tone. I mean, that whole interview is on YouTube. But I basically like it started off just little beef in Texas, and then eventually it was like, yo, I want to play you for a large amount since you talking like you got me, and eventually it just other people got involved, and eventually it was his coast, I mean Midwest versus SoCal, I'm saying, a SoCal native, because at the time I was living in Texas, and like SoCal was all like, yeah, we like Fnatic over them free and all that stuff, and so then it became a bigger deal.
So how much did you actually put on the line?
Um,
Or is this sort of like a gray area that you don't want to get into?
I mean, it's probably better not to, actually.
Okay. So do you ever foresee fighting games ever getting to that same level where someone's going to put up that large amount of money, and do you
No.
want to be the person in that match?
I mean, I would love to be the person in that match, but it won't happen again.
Who is there anybody right now that you wouldn't want to do that match against?
That I
And
wouldn't.
Marvel 3 that you would not want to.
No.
No? So I mean, let's say Chris G's like, okay, I'll do 50,000 against you.
Absolutely.
You would do that? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in that circle, I guess it looks a little different from my circle. I'd be like, hell no, I ain't gonna money match my best friend for that much. But I mean,
If I train, I feel like I'm a different person.
do you
Uh,
honestly feel that there's nobody on the planet right now that if you're prepared for it, that you cannot beat in the money match?
I mean, it's Marvel. I mean, and I think I have a better training regimen than the average person does. And I think I think I have more experience, and I think that's actually what would make me win those matches, is having experience for those kind of situations that other people don't have.
So who would you say? We're gonna phase into Marvel 3 now, because I think we're sort of done with some of the better highlights of Marvel 2. Mentioning that amazing money match and the one East Coast versus West Coast. But actually, sorry, another question comes to mind. How would you have felt? How do you feel the result would have went to the top 5 East Coast Marvel 2 versus the top 5 West Coast Marvel 2? How do you feel that the turnout would have been?
It always depends on what the format is, because
Let's say
um,
round robin instead of like
round robin, yeah, I feel like West Coast.
really. So if it was just like that Pokemon KOF style, one person can carry it. Do you feel
Justin
like
would have won. Justin was the best.
yeah? So
Yeah,
I mean, but that's not really a measure of the entire coach's skill. That's the measure of a player's skill.
exactly.
And I mean, do you think a lot can be said for Justin not living on the East Coast? I mean, do you feel like the West Coast is definitely the best in all the fighting games right now,
Yes.
hands down?
Yep.
Okay, can you give me a few reasons why?
Well, I mean, let's look at it. I mean, we have tournaments on the West Coast, and the West Coast wins, and we have tournaments on the East Coast, and the West Coast wins. Let me see.
But wait, wait,
East.
wait. The best on the West Coast did lose the best on the East Coast last time they had a race to 10.
Well, let's see. We went to ECT 4.
Hmm.
Fnatic won that. Fast forward to the next week, we go to CEO. Justin Wong wins that. Um,
So Justin Wong's officially West Coast now.
I mean,
He
yeah, of
lives
course.
there, so I guess, right?
I mean, he
Okay.
lives here, and since this game existed, he began and has existed, continuously on the West Coast.
Do you
It's
think
like
him? Do you think Justin specifically moving to the West Coast, increased its level of skill by a single player?
No, I don't. Wait. I'm sorry. Do I think Justin moving here has
Mhm.
increased his level of skill?
No. Well, vice versa. I mean, like him living there does it increase the community's level of skill, and do you think he significantly increased in skill? I mean, because back in the day, East Coast, they had such a stronghold in Marvel too. That I mean, you had thinking machines like Justin Wong, and then you had execution masters like Yipes, and then you had people who were just hungry, like Smooth Viper was definitely a hungry player, and you had Sanford Kelly. I mean, like those four arguably are in easily top 5 in the world for Marvel 2 at their prime,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So with such a powerhouse of people, and yeah, of course they're in the Empire, so they're all inside the Power Glove. But I mean, like Power Glove aside, those 4 players just represented such a fierce presence in Marvel 2. And Justin probably was. I mean, I think he's one of the smartest players that ever lived. Him living there and training with them definitely helped them out.
Yeah, but it's a different thing though. See,
So
back
Marvel 2 is
then,
different. Now Marvel, I mean that's Marvel 2. We're talking
no,
moving on to Marvel 3,
it's
right?
it's communities that are different.
Okay.
Back then, Marvel was based off of, people going to arcades, or at least, you had the Arc where everybody was training and all their community was playing together. A lot of them were playing there together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so I look at that and it's like, well, okay, so that was that. But, Marvel 3, Justin living here, you would think it would be really beneficial. But, I mean, it's not like Justin is having sessions with all of us, or we're all getting together, or, he's going to Wednesday night fights on a regular basis.
And, like, pulling out a ruling, like, this is a try jump.
Yeah, like that.
Like
None of that
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, really, anyone existing on the coast, the only way, like, for example, Chris G being on the East Coast is huge because he goes to Big Two every time. But Justin is not going to a week league. Got better things to do. So it's not really benefiting the coast like that, And majors, everyone's going to be there now because of sponsorship and everyone being able to travel. So.
I mean, East Coast does still have now they have a stronghold of players. I mean, if we're gonna include Florida, they got Flocker, and back in New York they got Moons, they got Chris G, they got Noel
West Coast
Brown.
still better though.
I mean, I'm gonna leave that to you. You could decide. I mean, you guys do. They, you have yourself. You have Justin. You have Champ. You have X-Ray. I mean, there's a lot of high end players, and I think sort of the mid tier is still very strong. But I mean, the point of getting here is how do you think that there's a giant skill gap between East Coast Marvel or just East Coast fighting games and West Coast fighting games? Do you think you guys are just leaps and bounds ahead of them?
Not anymore. Not like it used to be. I mean, well, because the skill cap is so low, so the skill gap can't be as big.
No, I mean, I was asking, do you think that the West Coast is leaps and bounds ahead of the East Coast?
I understood the question, and I think I'm answering it. I think the skill cap is so low that the skill gap can't be so large. So, I mean, let's put it this way. If it's on a scale of a 1 to 10, and, I'm a 10 and you're a 0, then the gap is really big. But if the game is nerfed and neutered down to where the skill cap is basically only a 4, then if I'm at a 4 and you're at a 0, then the skill gap isn't as big.
Okay, so then do you feel the West Coast is a 4, and then what do you think the East Coast is?
If it was on a scale of 1 to 4, I'd say the East Coast is probably a 3.5.
Okay, so that's really fairly close.
Yeah.
Okay, so who would you put on if you had to approach into that guild? This is my team this is my team of 5 representatives for West Coast. Who would they be and why?
Well, I put myself on there.
Obviously.
I mean, obviously, if I train, anybody knows I'm able to beat the best or at least contend with them. I would put Justin Wong on there. He's obviously one of the smartest. I don't even think I need to explain that.
Champ?
I would put Champ on there. It goes without saying.
What about Mr. Hair, Mr. Gel in the hair and glasses?
No, not even close.
No love for this guy, eh?
No, it's not. It's not even out of a disrespect. I mean, he obviously isn't better than any of the 3 previously mentioned.
Okay.
And then,
so then Combo?
Yeah, Combo Fiend.
Okay,
and
that's 4.
Well, it depends if Combo Fiend's training, because when Combo Fiend is actually playing the game, he's obviously on there. But he does like I do and doesn't play. But I'd put
last member.
Knives.
Knives.
Yeah.
It's Knives over. I mean, what about that? What about Hanzo Gonzo? Do you think he's?
Are you being serious?
I'm just asking a question.
He's terrible. Like, why would?
Whoa, terrible? Do you think he's
I truly believe he's terrible. He's a bad player at the game.
Damn. What about
I'm not trying to disrespect him.
What about Eric High? Not Eric High. Sorry. That's a Canadian
Killer Kai.
Player. Killer Kai.
I mean, he would be up there. I mean, I could only pick 5.
Yeah.
I mean, but Killer Kai would be right underneath that list. You know what I'm saying?
Or what's he plays in the FGC? What's his name again? Oh no, FGTV. He's always on there, nonstop.
Shady K.
Shady K.
Jeez, he's another person that I don't know what his deal is because I think he's one of the most talented, but he just always falls short in tournaments. But I don't understand it because I think he should win like everything because he's
So he's the
really stupid good.
most. You think he's the highest level player in casual, but mediocre in tournament?
Well, I don't watch him in tournament enough to
Okay.
know. I don't know what's happening to
You
him.
just
But
know he's not top
the
five.
results aren't there, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I don't understand why. Because clearly, if you watch him play, I don't. He should be winning. Like I don't see why he's not getting first place in every tournament. If you watch him play and see the way he thinks, it's insane. I don't know.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your team in Marvel 3. And I mean, this is basically you're retorting what you used to do. I mean, you're used to playing Magneto, you're used to playing Storm, and I'm guessing when the game came out, you're like, this is my characters. I'm gonna pick them no matter what happens. I don't give a shit.
Nah,
No.
that's not. I approached it. First thing I'm gonna try Magneto and see if he works. I love Magneto.
Mhm.
If you look in my room right now, I got Final Fantasy. I mean, King of
Yeah,
Fighters
that
13
Marvel
poster.
fantasy.
I got King of Fighters 13 poster. I got a Magneto poster.
I mean, if you look at my room,
And a Marvel poster.
You look at my
Like,
room,
but
it's
I
nothing
didn't
but
I didn't even add all
Spider-Man.
those. You know what I'm saying? But the one that I had all this time, I just recently got the King of Fighters 13 poster from a Big E tournament. No, it wasn't Big E. Either way, but I've always had that Magneto. Like that's my character. That's the character I bonded with the most. You know, in
But if he
Marvel.
was garbage in this game, I mean,
If he was bad, I wouldn't play him.
yeah. So
I mean, my mindset was when he got announced, I'm like, I'm gonna try him out, and if he's still a beast, I'm playing him.
yeah. So Storm not. I mean, Magneto's a beast. Storm not so much.
Um,
She's definitely not in the top 10.
yeah, she ain't. She
She's
fell
gonna
off.
struggle in the top 20
I don't know about all that, but in vanilla, she was one of the top, characters in the game.
because the DHC glitch made her so powerful.
Absolutely, it made her one of the best champions in the
I
game.
mean, she does.
And being able to call assists while in the air.
Here's a
that was
question. Okay, so when you're playing Storm, I mean, like, I mean, how do you feel? If you're fighting against, a Zero May Cry team, what's your approach? I mean, if they snap your Storm in first, and you got to fight Storm versus Zero, what's your game plan going in?
Zone him and just wait for him to do something stupid and hit him.
All right, I mean, but what are you trying to zoning him with?
S. It's the best move in the game.
So you try jumping up and down, S S S S S. Are you trying to try jump in S? Are you, I mean,
It just depends. It depends on what they're doing. At all points in a match like that, especially with Zero, since he's so mobile, I'm constantly evaluating as I'm in the air or whatever I'm doing. Like, where is he? Like, where is he? Where is he going? So, if he's trying to go backwards, if he's in a defensive position, then I'm coming at you. But if it's like coming at me, then it's like, I mean, can I counter it? And if I can't counter it, then I just gotta float away and run away and stuff.
and are you using your wind on him at all, or you don't see much of a point in that?
No, that move is pretty bad. I'm not
Yeah.
about it at all.
I mean, there are potential incoming mix-ups where someone's coming in, you can call an assist and maybe focus them into it, right, with the win. But I guess, yeah, you're right. It's
Those mix-ups are gimmicks, and they don't last any smart player because
Okay.
you're announcing the mix-up to them.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
So-
it's like because she says fair wind or foul wind. So anybody
Yeah.
who knows, if I hear fair wind, that means okay, I don't got to worry about it. If I hear foul wind, then it's like snap. You know what I mean? Like I gotta block the other way. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
So let's say that okay, so we got your approach with Zero. Okay. Let's hear about your approach against Viper with Storm.
jeez, I still don't have a great approach. I don't play against Viper. There's like no Vipers on the. I mean, who plays Viper over here that I play against? Nobody.
There's Viper's NorCal.
Yeah, I'm in SoCal. NorCal is 5 hours away from me.
Doesn't matter. Someone will make the trip.
Yeah, but I
Mine will
don't.
come
So
up.
I mean, I don't have any experience. So I don't have.
So I
game
mean, like,
plan
okay,
going.
let's
I'm
say
playing
you're
Viper.
fighting K Beast. Okay, he's a really good Viper player. You're fighting him, and for whatever reason he snapped your Storm in. Your Storm's incoming. He's trying to work on getting his setup going. What's your plan going in against this Viper with Storm? I mean, you're gonna block. Are you gonna fly? What are you thinking as you're coming in? Like, shit,
it's a
Storm's
read.
it.
I mean, it's the same way you approach everything else. It's a read. It's like I'm looking at him and I'm wondering, okay, is he gonna jump up and attack me, Is he gonna try to unblockable me? Is he gonna call his assistant unblockable me? What's the timing on the way he called his assist? Can I dash and avoid it? Did he call it early enough to where I need to just push block and then try to air dash in response? You're reading the situation. I think there's no there's never a static like this is what I do in a situation. It's always based off of right now. How do I feel at this very second,
Okay,
based off
okay.
of
Let's
what I think
let's
he's
ask
do.
something that's less specific. Let's just say, how do you approach the matchup against the Viper with Storm?
I still haven't developed a proper approach. So right now, like if I'm playing it, I'm just gonna float around, wait, call my drones, and just try to control space that way.
Okay. Now, I guess after that is obviously Virgil. Now, let's say for whatever reason you have, X Factor 3 Virgil with the swords. A very ugly situation for Storm to be in.
For any
Um,
character.
yeah, well, anybody. I mean, that character is retarded. They really need to do something. Anything, please, just nerf this character. But anyways, um, I mean, he's one of those. I mean, him and honestly, and I love B, but I really fucking hate Frank West. Once he has his level 5, is like a real headache to deal with, and it never goes away. He doesn't
Right.
lose his levels, nothing,
Right.
and he has major, major, major priority. But okay, anyway. So when you're going against Virgil, X Factor 3 swords, like what are you thinking? Like I gotta just hailstorm right away, or
Um.
because that's sort of like a panic move, right? Like oh no.
If I have time to do a hailstorm, yeah, that's definitely what I'm gonna do because it's gonna waste like half of his swords, and in response he can't mix me up. He can't.
Mhm.
He doesn't have enough time to actually open you up after that.
Okay, let's remove the
Um,
X Factor 3. Let's just focus on a Virgil on point versus your Storm on point. How do you approaching this character? Because his range is stupid.
use drones to back me up, and then use my ARS because ARS is the best move in the game.
If they kill that Sentinel, is there really no smart way for Storm to approach a lot of the top tier characters?
Without Sentinel, absolutely not. She's
Mhm.
really bad.
So I mean, so if someone snaps in your Sentinel first and kills him, are you saying you're kind of screwed?
No, because if someone snaps in my Sentinel first and kills him, X Factor Storm has amazing approach. I think X Factor Storm is actually better than X Factor Magneto.
Okay. Do you do you think X Factor Storm can compete with the top 10 X Factor characters, or do you think
No,
no?
nah, I mean the top. Nah, no, because in X Factor game becomes a total different thing.
If I touch you, you
Um,
die.
yeah, you know what I mean. And then it's like, I mean, you got characters in X Factor that are just like retarded, like Phoenix,
Mhm.
and Doctor Strange and Super Scroll and things like that. So
Right.
no, she's not gonna compete with them like that. However, an X Factor level 2 Storm with drones behind her versus another X Factor level 2 character, versus most X Factor level 2 characters within their assist of choice or whatever their choice is. I think Storm, she does really, really well.
How do you feel about Storm with Doctor Doom's assist? Not plasma beam, but missiles, or even rocks.
Um, I don't think rocks are particularly good, but I
We're
think
starting to see more rocks with people's teams now than
yeah,
before.
CJ's using it. I'm not about it though. I think missiles are pretty good.
Yeah.
I think missiles they could work, and yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
I'm
know.
not
I
into
don't. I
it.
don't
I'm
like.
not into it, but it could work for
I don't.
sure.
I don't like Storm with missiles just because, with obviously what you're going for with Sentinel is you're giving yourself room to overhead and cross up and yada yada. With missiles, it's just like, okay, I don't want to hit Storm, but I'm gonna try to avoid those missiles, and he stays out there for quite a while, snapping his fingers and waiting to get hit.
Yeah, but when once they're there, if they stay on the ground and block a string of missiles, and you get the same opportunity to open them up. If they super jump into the air to avoid the missiles, then they have to use their air options in order to avoid the missiles. Otherwise, they have to block the missiles, and
Okay.
then you get the guard break options for them for blocking the missiles. If they air dash before then to avoid it, then they've used their air dash options. I mean, they've used their air options. So then it's like now when you're falling down on the way from this, you have to eat my mix up. So it's like I mean, it's not a bad situation. It's just not something that I've particularly done. I mean, I've formulated my game around, but she with those missiles she would do good, and they have combo extensions and so I think missiles could work with her. I really
Actually,
do.
yeah, you can extend some of her combos with Hailstorm, and then the missiles hit, and you can do whatever after that.
Can you do double hailstorm? Because I know with
Yes,
drones you can.
you
It's just
can. You can
really.
actually go for double hail. Well, I theorized that you can go for a double hailstorm and then with that Arctic freeze. I don't know of it being done, but I theorize it could be done.
Hmm.
Because I know in the original one, if you hit them high enough, you can combo after the hailstorm with her Arctic freeze in vanilla.
Yeah, you
And
can do that in ultimate too.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm sure you can do it in ultimate. However, I'm not sure if you can do the hailstorm, doom assist hits, hailstorm, then Arctic freeze. I mean, you're wasting a lot of meter then, and it doesn't really do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it works for. And I want to point out I did discover hailstorm and Arctic freeze. But go ahead.
Okay, Justin might argue that, but
No. He'll admit it very, very quickly.
okay,
Justin point blank said that he thought Storm was bad until he saw me play her, and
all
I
right,
inspired him to keep going with her.
okay. Okay, so I mean, we see Storm against the top three basically, and the advice you're giving to any other young Storm player out there, young using that word lightly, young, is to basically approach the matchup with Sentinel's assist and get in there.
Yeah,
Okay, so
if
I
you
mean,
can.
is it the same idea if you're fighting Wesker, if you're fighting Spencer, if you're
Well,
fighting
Wesker's a little bit different. It's just it. I mean, each character, you approach him different, just like you would do with Magneto or something.
hmm. I mean, Magneto has way more options than Storm does, though.
Yeah, he has, yeah.
That try jump low kick is godlike. Storm,
She has
mm,
instant float light kick, light punch, or
yeah,
light, which is even faster than Magneto's triangle
it
jump light.
is, but you got to
Um,
get that instant thing down to a science.
I mean, I got it, so
You do,
I
but
mean, it's an
a lot of
option.
Storms don't.
You got to learn it. I
I
mean, it's
guess
like
so.
you can't evaluate a character's options based off of a person, whether or not a person develops the talent to do it or not. It's
Well, I
an
mean,
option. It's an option.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that if one exceptional player who plays a character exceptionally well doesn't mean that character is higher in the tier listing or is the shit, right? You could be a unique example for someone who's really good with Storm, and their overall scope of players are just kind of with her,
Yeah.
right? They're like, oh, it's Fanatics Storm, okay. Oh, it's whoever's Storm. Well, all right, whatever. Just kill her and move on.
Yeah, but I mean, there's certain things that she does like that. I think she does better than Magneto does. Like for instance, I think rushing down Wesker, it's not the same game. Like for me, it's just I'm spamming a bunch of S's, and it's like if he ever tries to dash at me, he gets hit with that S. If he hits a meaty and then I just get to a specific spot. And when he's coming down with his gun, I'm like, okay, either he's gonna, it's like you get to force him into things. Like, okay, either you come down with your gun, and which case I can launch you and kill you, or do a
Mhm.
lot of damage to you, or you come down trying to block, and then I get to do the blind instant overhead or low. You know what I mean? So there's so many options that she has.
Have you
I
ever
like.
thought of doing a tutorial video for Storm? Because there's a lot of tutorial videos out there for a lot of characters, and I think that you might have a better than average idea.
I have 4 minutes of footage recorded that I just haven't done anything with.
Why? Do you just not really into video editing, or?
Well, yeah, I'm not. I don't know how to do video editing very well, and I just I just feel like, man, look, real talk though, like I just don't. I don't think this community's ready for it because when you have a community that can argue with me on specific moves with specific characters that I know to be bad or I know to be not
Blast.
as beneficial, there you go. It's like I've lost a lot of respect for the opinions of the general consensus, and I've also recognized that a lot of the things that I would share with people would go over their heads and they wouldn't understand it. Not trying to be cocky, but it's just more like
Are you saying people
if
don't? They might not. Like, okay, let's look at an example like this. Someone is a painter, right? And they might be so far ahead of the time with their type of art that no one understands it.
but I don't like saying it like that because it just sounds douchey. It's more like
How else could you say it?
I don't know. I'm trying to think of a better way. It's just I mean, some things visibly look good to people. Like certain things, like ostensibly, it's like, yeah, this is really good, and then after you learn it, you're like, oh no, it's not as good as I thought it was. But on the outside, it's like, yo, no, it's good. I mean, think of it. You know what I mean? But then they don't know, like, no, it's bad for X, Y, and Z reasons. But until you play this character, until you understand it, you won't know. You know, it's like how like League of Legends is so impossible for people to understand unless they play it. Like 99% of people are like, yo, I don't even know what's going on with League of Legends. Like when they're watching it,
Hmm.
they just can't. You know what I mean? But once you play the game, you totally understand it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like it is with same way with Beyond Soul, same way it is with Magneto.
So would you say that the people aren't really operating at your level with Storm in order to understand the things that you're doing with Storm and how you would try to explain them?
Absolutely.
It's sort of like let's say Einstein is so no. Let's
No,
not go there.
sleep.
Let's say
Sleep.
Isaac Newton is so far ahead with
God.
with creating the math called calculus that no one can understand how intelligent that person is.
I mean, or let's just say, I can't think of a better example, but like, let's just say, you know, um, McDonald's is really smart for, for for dumbing down their menu to make it really simple with just burgers as opposed to burgers and hot dogs and fish.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And other people are like, dude, but all of them make money. You know what I'm saying? All of them, they're all foods that people eat. There's a market for all of them. And it's like, yeah, but if we just focus on just this little bit, then we'll overall achieve more greatness. You know what I'm saying? And so, in the eyes of everyone else, it's like, yeah, but all of them are beneficial. And it's like, yes, but it's actually more beneficial to dumb it down, and that's what it boils down to. I think you dumb it down to certain things and get to the pith of what the character needs to do, as opposed to focusing on all this extravagant nonsense that doesn't even result in any positive success. God, that was a bad example, but you get the point.
Okay, would you say okay, let's say this. Would you say that you've that people kind of like have like a one size fits all storm and your storm sort of tailored in a way? You sort of tailor made this character for you, in the way that you approach it, right? And that everybody kind of got a one size fits all.
I would just say I use more of our options for
Okay,
sure. I use more of our options and just have a better
I can see you
understanding
being
of
very
that
careful with your
player.
words.
Well, just because I mean I don't know, like I'm not in here to just like tell people like, yo, you suck with Storm, because I don't
No,
think
no,
that's the
meaning that,
case. I
that
think
that's
they're
not
good and they
that's not
approach it
helping anything by
differently.
saying that.
Yeah, I just think realistically, like there's a lot of things that I do with the character that I think are really essential parts of her game that I don't see a lot of people do.
All right, so before we take a break, I want to ask you. Yes, we do need a break because I need to check the chat. Um, can you tell me, um, what is? Sorry, can you talk to me about the argument that you had, in Canada Cup, regarding magnetic blast? I mean,
Oh,
like you had Joker there, and you had Ray Ray there, both heavy blast users, and you were saying, this move is not good, don't use it, yada yada yada. Can you sort of explain why that move is not the primary move for people to be using?
um, well, it's a very telegraphed approach, in my opinion. It controls space, but most characters, a lot of characters can punish it, and it'll result in your death. Magneto is not, he doesn't have a lot of HP. So um, for instance, like Spencer, if you do a magnetic blast versus Spencer at any time, he can just bionic arm you, and you die. Um,
Taskmaster can go right through it.
Taskmaster can go right through it. Zero can release his Buster, and that will go through it. It doesn't have the highest durability. Beyonce can do her Elemental Rage. Um, let's see. Magneto's EM Disruptor eats the magnetic blast and hits the Magneto doing the magnetic blast, forcing him to get hit and then have to block another EM disruptor on the way up. Assuming there's no drones at him, and then he'd have to eat another one, so on and so forth. Like there's so many characters like that they punish it freely. Even characters who can't completely punish it clean, it puts him at a disadvantage to where he has to eat a mix up.
So then,
Um,
why do you think so many Magneto players are using that specific move?
because they just don't know Magneto. They just don't know any better.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, these are
for
they're
certain matchups, by the way, I think it's really important. I think it's good versus Wolverine. I think it has a lot of uses versus Nova. Um,
Sentinel.
yeah, I guess it'd be all right for Sentinel. I don't think Magneto needs it for Sentinel. For what? No, I don't. I don't think it's particularly good versus Sentinel. Um, Magneto has 1,000 ways of approaching Sentinel and infinitely better. Like, where yeah, there's no, I don't like it for Sentinel. Sentinel can plasma beam it and then he's dead for it. Uh, yeah, but what was I saying?
About you're talking about why the move isn't the most optimal move to be
Oh
using
yeah, so
Magneto.
so
So what
there's
is
like
your approach then? I mean, you're not a magnetic blaster. You're what would you say your forte is, and what you would advise that more Magneto players start to use rather than blasting?
I think the best approach for Magneto is to not approach at all. It's to EM Disruptor until your opponents approach, and then when they're approaching you, you counter their approach.
Okay, can you tell me why?
Well, because Magneto's best options are, you know, I don't want to fight you with toe to toe with Magneto. He's a glass cannon. I don't want you to random out a hit on me. I want you to super jump into the air to avoid my EM disruptor, and then while you're avoiding my EM disruptor, I'm going to while you're in the air to avoid my EM disruptor, I'm going to set up shop down here. All right, let's call these drones on their way so that as you're landing, I'm going to dash underneath you and launch you or something. Oh, you chicken guarded? It's okay. Drones will come in. They got my back, and now you have to block the drones, and now you have to eat like two 50-50s. Or oh, you super jumped in the air and flew to try to avoid these drones. Well, I'm gonna super jump up there and do the air hit confirm. Patented Fanatic hit
So,
confirm.
Fanatiq, right? Come on,
Uh,
Joker's got some super jump conversions that.
that he learned from Mr. Fanatic. Let's not have any illusions here. I think,
Yeah.
and I don't think he has a problem admitting it. He definitely learned that from me. I was the
Okay.
first one to do it,
Mhm.
in
I mean,
competitive.
like, wait, two people can learn technically.
Independently, that's absolutely
I
true. But
mean,
he did watch
we
my
hang on,
matches.
hang
He
on.
did see me doing it first.
One sec. We did. Nobody, a lot of people don't really know where the first car came from, right? There's theories on who had the first car, first
Absolutely,
automobile.
that's true.
It could be, one could say that there's no real way to know who had the first super jump conversion. You were the maybe let's say that you were the first one to have it in the virtual world where people could see it, but
Absolutely.
he
I
may
mean,
or may not have been aware that you were doing it and had been already
he was
beating himself.
definitely aware that I was doing it. He definitely watched my matches. I understand the argument that you're making. I'm only
Okay.
making the contention, however, that he
Mm.
did watch my matches, as he did admit, and because he watched my matches, and because I do that thing so readily and so consistently and so often in
Mhm.
my matches, because it's a staple of my gameplay. There's no doubt in my mind, or anyone else's, that he actually saw me doing it first. It is possible that he could have came up with it at the same time. However, that is not what actually happened.
All right. So with that said, we're gonna cut to a break, and then I'm gonna try to grab a few questions that people have in the stream chat, and then we'll go from there. So we'll be right back.
All right. We're
All
back.
right, we're back with Fanatiq, and I'm gonna look at the first question here we have on the stream. It says, "Hey Shiro, ask Fanatiq about his opinion of Infred picking up Magneto and saying it's major tourney ready, and also why doesn't he play F Champ in the first of 10 for money? F Champ said it will be free." So let's answer the first question about, how do you feel about Infritz picking up Magneto and saying it's tournament ready?
He's not tournament ready, so there's no way his Magneto could be tournament ready.
But wait, he got second at Evo.
Yeah, he ain't did nothing since then.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna also say he hasn't placed in a tournament since then. He gets top eight, but he's not winning. So, do you think he's sort of a one-off?
I don't know what that means.
One-off, like he got lucky kind of thing. Like he got one-off, sort of like, okay, let's say like
I definitely think it was a fraudulent placing. Absolutely.
Jeez, but that's a lot of people in his pool that he had to beat.
I mean, who did he beat of significance though?
No, I wasn't there. I'm just saying he got
I'm
top.
fan.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
wait, no. But didn't he fight Combo Fiend and losers?
I don't know. I mean, once he got in the top eight, then it was, whatever. But on the way there, he can't name one person. His excuse was, I played several really good players. I don't know none of their names, but trust me, it wasn't easy. And it was like, well, yeah, it wouldn't be easy for a fraud to get by, a bunch of random no name people. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, so 1 sec. I gotta ask a question here. What is with the hate that it seems like a lot of people in California have with Infred? Now,
he's very cocky.
He's very cocky. I mean, what has he done that's been cocky?
Gosh, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time talking about him.
I mean, because you don't want to give him more time than he deserves. But I mean,
absolutely.
What has he done to you specifically that makes you be like, you know what, I hate this guy. I don't.
He talked a bunch of trash about me.
He did. I mean, is it worth getting into? What did he really say? No.
I mean, for what? He don't exist.
Okay. We'll just go with that. I don't know either one of you that way, so I don't want to dig up sore wounds. I mean, have you guys made peace?
He just ain't worth talking about, really. Honestly.
You guys did band together to go against the NorCal, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was a match. They wanted us to do it. I respect the people that wanted us to do it. I respected the cause. So I was like, okay, I'll play. Okay. And I actually gave him props while he was playing. And then afterwards, he talked more trash. And it was like, yo, okay, you still the same scumbag? Okay. We ain't cool.
All right. I talk trash about everybody, but I'm everybody's buddy. All right. So now the next question right after that is, why don't you play Champ in a race to 10? And Champ said it'd be free. How do you feel about that?
I mean,
I don't know if Champ said that.
Yeah, no, he probably did. Champ likes to play the Stream Monsters.
Yeah.
He texts me all the time when he does what he does. And he's just always like, yo, I'm just saying this for the stream, and I just let it rock. Champ does not play his friends for money, so that match would never happen.
Is it because you guys are just really good friends and there's no reason?
Yeah, because when we talked, when we first got there, he said when I went to FGTV the first time, he was like, it's just a rule that he made for himself. He just doesn't believe in doing that and playing his friends for money, and I can respect that. Same with Neil. Neil just doesn't believe in it. I'd never adopted that mentality necessarily.
Like, if I want money and if you have money, can I'll play you? I don't care.
No, it's not like that. It's more like I don't know, but just either way. But
it's work and play,
that's
right?
their mentality, and if that's the way that they feel, I obviously respect it. He's a friend of mine, and I understand what he says. He feels like the competitive nature of the thing and things like that could get in the way of the friendship, and so it's like, all right, I won't do it. But I mean, if you were to really get him seriously and ask him who has a better Magneto, he always says it very, very soundly that I have a better one. So I mean, if he's just trolling for the stream, it's like, well, am I about to get wrapped in that?
All right, so let's jump into the next question here. Aside from Sentinel, what do you think is a good third piece to the Triforce that is Magneto Storm? What would be another character that could fit into that posse?
Doctor Strange. Easy.
Strange. Okay,
Easy.
Because it lets you get in real quick. You're talking about his projectile assist, right? Not the balls.
Absolutely.
Or Okay.
Bolts of ball sack.
Okay. And who else? I mean, if your hands are tied behind your back, you don't got Sentinel, and you don't got Strange. You know, where you going with it? Who's next? I mean, some
I don't.
people are saying they like Magneto Skrull Sentinel. I mean, that's kind of weird, but
I don't know. Oh, maybe Amaterasu.
Amaterasu? Yeah, but I mean, that's really only strong in the corner, right?
Oh, it works. I mean, it works. It's Magneto. Yeah, no, it has place out of the corner too. She still hits and stuns him forever.
Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna ask that question. That's no.
What question?
I
Now you
mean,
got me
I
curious.
want to try to put this out on the internet. And it's about, I don't really freak. No. Anyways, the next question we're gonna ask here is, how do you? I mean, now, who do you think would win in our first attempt between Joker and Ray Ray?
That's like asking, who would win, between Johnny Donuts and fraudulent Freddy. Like, I mean,
Wow.
I don't
What the
think about
fuck?
them. It's like Joker don't exist. Frey Frey is. I mean, Frey Frey is. That's what I named my keyboard right there. It's covered in the sheet right now. That's I mean, like, who cares? I mean,
Damn.
being honest, like
Damn.
that's how I felt when. Nah, I'm not gonna go
Just
into it.
go there.
Nah,
Go there. Just say it.
I would rather not.
Just say it. We got
That's
stream of
okay.
30 people here. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. We can forgive you. Just say it.
You ain't ask your question. I ain't saying my statement. Let's go. Next
I
question.
didn't. Uh, that question is some real inappropriate stuff. Okay. No. So the next question is, I mean, this is again back to Joker and Ray Ray. Is why does Joker and Ray Ray still think they have a better Magneto after both of them got beat in money matches?
Because they don't understand the character, and I still don't think they understand why I beat them.
No, I mean they might ask, they might say, well, you only beat us because you have Sentinel and you couldn't do without Sentinel, yada yada yada. I
They have
mean,
Sentinel.
I mean, I'm saying that might be what they're saying, right? Or they might say, his Magneto didn't beat us, his Storm did.
I mean, they could say that. Um,
I mean, against Ray Ray,
it's a three.
it
It's a
was
three.
fairly obvious against Ray Ray that Storm was in there.
Storm did a crap load of work, but also though, versus Ray Ray, I was it wasn't Magneto versus Magneto. It was Magneto versus Ryu. Ray Ray started Magneto one time and got perfected.
One time.
So
So one time. All right. No, no, I understand. I understand. Um, who has been the most difficult American player you fought, and who has been the most difficult? I mean, I don't know if you played people. I mean, Canadian player, and then let's go internationally.
man, the most difficult American player I played is Knives, just 'cause just hate his team. I think his team counters my team, and I did a good job training him, and he understands the way I think and the way my characters work and what his team can do against my character. And so I can't, even if we play like 1,000 matches, it's like I can't just dominate him like I do everyone else in like really really long sets, and it's frustrating.
I mean,
Um,
that's.
it's just because we train together, so he's naturally like my worst match now because he's adapted to that matchup so well.
Mhm.
Um, the worst East Coast, you said I said,
No,
or
no,
you
no.
said Canadian.
Canadian, let's say.
Um,
You were at Canada Cup, so you got to play a lot, right?
yeah, I guess. Well, I didn't at Canada Cup. I didn't really experience. I guess the worst Canadian I could say is right
Not
now
worse.
is
I said the
B.
best Canadian that you
No,
played.
like, I'm saying the worst I've done against a Canadian is
Oh,
probably B.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
um, now, have you played against any European players that you're aware of?
Zach Bennett. That match was intense.
What against who?
Zach Bennett.
Zach
Like,
Bennett. Okay. What was that? What was that? How did that turn out?
I don't know. It went pretty hard in my favor, but in the beginning I was struggling a lot. It did, panned out a lot like Ray and Joker matches.
Do you have any
Uh,
interest in fighting Aluen?
yeah, I would play him for a lot of money and beat him.
How do you feel about his Magneto? Is he a Medic Blaster or?
Yeah, he's a
He,
magnetic blaster.
he started. He formatted a lot of those Magneto, combos at the very very early of Vanilla.
Yeah.
Level.
Well, I don't know about
They were
Vanilla.
dope. Come on now,
Ultimate.
huh?
I know in Ultimate. I didn't even hear about him in Vanilla. But I know this. I know this. When he originally approached me about his combos in Vanilla and why Magnetic Blast combos were so much stronger, and he gave me numbers. Um, he gave me numbers and he said, "Hey, this is how much damage I can get." He asked me, "How much damage can you get in mid screen
Hmm.
in the corner?" And that back to wall. And I gave him my numbers, and then he accused me of lying. Like, no, I don't believe you did that much damage. And I'm like, what? First off, and I'm like, I break it down. I'm like, listen, first off, the thing you got to understand about me is I'm an honest person. So if I'm telling you this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing. I'm not gonna lie to you over a video game. Who are you, and what is this game?
Hmm.
But then it was like, so then he was telling me his numbers, and I was like, so wait, are you telling me that my numbers are higher than yours without the magnetic blast and my combos? And then we worked on the combo together,
Hmm.
and then we helped him come up with a way to where his combo was actually stronger than my combos.
Hmm.
But prior to that, all that time, what he was under the misconception was stronger was actually weaker. And so yeah, all those combos that they were insisting the special Alioun loops were actually not stronger than my combo. Um, so, I mean, but after we had that long talk and we're working on the combo together until we can maximize it and make it actually better, and then we found out, hey, your combo is actually stronger by 7,000 damage.
That's quite significant in this game.
You think so? 7,000?
Just kidding.
Oh, you're being
It's
sarcastic.
3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so this gentleman here has been asking this question quite a few times. Where do you think the future of your team is heading?
Um, into non-existence.
What?
I feel like, man,
I mean, three
being,
of your characters have TAC infinites. All three
yeah,
of them. You
yeah.
don't use them.
hmm I
Why?
do.
Okay, I mean, but why aren't we seeing it more often?
Well, because 9 times out of 10, if Magneto touches you, you're dead.
So you
So then
don't
it's
see
like,
a reason to use it.
absolutely not. Like, I mean, like, so if Magneto touches you, you're dead. If, and then if I touch you the second time with him, I'm gonna X Factor and you're dead. And then if I touch your third character, you're dead.
What's the next
So,
major that you plan on going to?
whatever the next one is, Winter Brawl probably.
There's Winter Brawl in this final round.
When's final round?
It's in March.
Yep. I go to every major.
So at the event, so what does it take for you to say, you know what, I'm getting on a plane and going to this tournament? What are 3 things that it takes for you to go?
It's one thing.
Money.
No, it's my sponsor saying, "Hey, we got you a ticket. You're going to this tournament."
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, like if you tell your sponsor, oh, it's going to be X amount of dollar money match, that's not really as important to them as there is said players going to this. This is sponsored by so and so. I
No,
mean,
it doesn't. No, it doesn't work that way. It's just, hey, there's a big tournament coming. Fanatiq, we want you to go.
oh, because so they just tell you you're going to this tournament.
But I mean, they ask me. When it came, they asked me like, hey, so these are the tournaments that everyone's going to, and do you want to go? And sometimes I'll be like, I'm not really sure. Sometimes I told them I don't want to go, and then they tell me, hey, we want you to go though,
You're like,
and
you're
I'm
not going to
like,
get. This is a sponsorship. This isn't, but you're going to go. Did they ever tell you that?
no, never.
No.
If I told them I don't want to go, I wouldn't go. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they kind of be like, you're going to go, and that's the way it is.
nah,
You
never,
want to get
never.
smacked?
Like if ever I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it, and they would never make me. But it's just like, hey, there's a major tournament, and it's like, well, why wouldn't you go? For most of the time, it's like, man, I think it's a place to travel, get another experience, get another perspective, like mingle with people that have a different perspective on life than I
So,
do. So it's
That's,
worth it.
has there been any players that you've seen play and they completely wowed you? You're like, whoa, I didn't know that could be done.
Chris G wows me. No
Yeah,
homo.
because he doesn't eat vegetables or fruits.
Well, that too. No, but I mean like
Yo, but you know what? The next
I
time,
didn't respect him, you know. And then like I see him doing his Morgan traps, and it's just like, and I look at his different patterns, and it's just like this dude is he really gets this character. He really has that character down, and it's very impressive to me.
yeah.
So
I mean, some
like
people argue that Morgan is top 3 in the game.
I don't know about
I
that.
think,
I
I
don't.
think, I think Chris G's Morgan is top 3 in the game. I don't think
There it
Morgan is. It
is.
is right.
Yeah,
I don't know of any other Morgan that is even comparable to him. I mean, even on my
absolutely not.
stream, we had Chris G playing the supposed best online Morgan, which is Terry Bogard, and no, I'm sorry, he just owned that guy's, stuff. He owned
Yeah,
him pretty bad, and it didn't look like it was close. It didn't look like it was a good game. It looked like Chris G dropped some things here and there because it lagged, but for the most part, it wasn't much interest. He just owned
yeah.
them. They put it on SRK, and most people's response to it was this guy's balls.
Yeah, no,
So
there's no way. There's no way. It's not Morgan doing this OD. It's Chris G this OD.
yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
if we
do you respect people trying to like cop that style? Like they see him doing so well with it that they try to do it themselves.
yeah, I respect that. I do. Like I think you know, somebody had to be the first Strider Doom user,
Yeah,
right?
but then
Somebody had
just
to be the first.
no one's gonna be as good as him,
Yeah, well, I mean, it was maybe one day. Who knows? Maybe one day Justin Wong will do it, and I think Justin Wong has the potential to be the best at anything he ever does. No slurp, but like I think he if he decided to learn it, he could. I think I don't think I'm not saying because he's the most talented player in the world. I just think he's the best right now with that characters. Um, so I feel like because of that, you know, I can't say that he'll always be the best, or maybe there will be somebody that'll learn it and surpass him.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yipes wasn't the very first person ever to use MSP. You know,
Who was?
Duckdo.
Duck. He's the Spiral team eventually, though, right?
That was his main team, but he was the first MSP user.
Every time I talk about Marvel 2 and old Marvel 2 stuff, I feel old. Like I should be talking about Breath of Fire 3 next to like,
Yeah. No, it is. It goes way back.
when Final
It goes way
Fantasy
back.
7 first came out, like it feels old. But okay. Now, what do you feel like the evolution of this game is going? Because like they announced they're not going to make any more patches. They're not going to make any more versions of the game. I think no more
Gonna
versions
make
of
a
the
patch.
game's complete, foo-foo. I think they're going to make another version of the game. Why wouldn't they?
Either
Marvel's
that or they're gonna make a patch. They're gonna patch it.
okay. So one of the most successful the second most successful Marvel selling game of all time is Marvel's Capcom 2. The first
Yeah.
one is I think Spider-Man 2. I think. I'm not sure. I mean, I gotta get out a book or something and get super nerd on this. But anyways, and Marvel Ultimate was kind of flopped because I don't know. Ultimate sold really well, but then no, sorry, Vanilla sold well. Ultimate kind of flopped because it was 6 months literally after the game came out, which BS. And
Yeah.
then but they're still making Marvel movies. They still have plans to make they're making a rock. They want to make a Rocket Raccoon movie. They want to do more Thor movies. So you might see a Loki in a game.
Yeah, and Ultimate's doing well now.
They did have a completed Ibuki for TVC, but they never put her in. They did have they were working on Doc Ock. I mean, you can see it in the code. It says Doc Ock, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't see them not wanting, they kind of ask, Unfortunately, I mean, what I would like to see, is that Marvel sort of makes some shitty characters better. I mean, what I don't want is that good characters get nerfed, except for Zero and Virgil. F those characters. But I like to see bad characters just get stronger. Like Chun-Li needs to be TVC Chun-Li, not whatever this garbage character is.
See, I don't like that. I don't like that at all
You don't
because
like
I
TVC
think
Chun-Li?
no, not that specific thing. Just what the general idea in general, or the idea in general. Reason being, let's take into consideration, when the Ultimate first dropped. Do you remember the character that everyone was complaining that they needed to be nerfed the most?
Tell me.
Wesker.
Yeah, but that's a weird buff though that he got. He
It
loses
is a
his
weird
glasses,
buff,
he
but
gets stronger. That doesn't
I
make
get
any
it.
sense.
But no. But let's make this point though.
Okay.
Everyone wanted him to be nerfed
Hmm.
because he was too overpowered. Remember, I think it was final round last year. 5 out of 8 of the players, 5 out of 8 of the top players were using Wesker.
He's still a strong character, but he's easy. You can deal with him now.
Yeah, obviously he's nowhere near top, and he's nowhere near needing a nerf, right? You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, I would agree
And I
that.
think almost the entire community would. They would not have agreed, however, back in the day, and when Event Hubs released his first tier list, Wesker was one of the top tier characters in Ultimate and needed a nerf.
Sentinel
Now,
needs a buff.
as the game fleshed itself out, we've come to the realization that Wesker was not overpowered at all, and that he's actually pretty balanced.
Yeah.
And actually, so he's fair. So there's no longer this cry about, oh man, Wesker needs a nerf. I think as the game fleshes itself out, more and more people will come to learn the characters themselves and begin to nerf and buff the characters accordingly.
Yeah.
Because remember, in the beginning of Marvel 2's life, Sentinel was a bad character because when you went to fly, it was unsafe.
Yeah.
And once you learn to unfly, it's like, wait a minute, now he's really OD. Then once you learn refly, it's like, whoa, he's even better. At the beginning of Marvel's life, Strider, Doom, and Spiral, Sentinel, and all those trap teams were the best. And then later on, Magneto, Cable, Storm, and Sentinel became the best characters in that game. So then it was like, wait a
was
minute.
top tier for forever.
Oh, it wasn't that long. People always overplay that. I mean, people were using Magneto. The people were using Magneto Cable. I mean, Magneto Storm Psylocke by 2000. So before the game was out an entire year, people had already been using Magneto. So, you know what I mean? But either way, the point I'm making is that those games, they need to flesh themselves out. If we keep trying to nerf and balance the games themselves,
They'll run into a Mortal
games,
Kombat 9.
Exactly. We don't know. No one knows 100% what's broken and what's not.
Well, I mean, come on. Zero is 100% broken.
Okay, except for Zero.
Virgil, why is he gaining meter when what the F? Like, why is he gaining meter while he's doing his combo?
I think Virgil's the next Wesker.
Yeah, those two characters for sure need to get it nerfed.
I don't think so. I don't think Virgil needs a nerf. I think Virgil's the next
Virgil
Wesker.
needs to get snapped out the game. But that's just me. I'd like to see Sentinel get a health nerf or health buff. I mean,
I think that would be a little
he's
fair.
a giant robot. Why is the giant robot got pixie health?
I agree it was stupid to do it originally, and I think but then ultimately it's like, I mean, heck, MSS can win a major, so he's not that bad, right?
No, but I mean, like, there's a lot of characters he will fight and he'd be like, oh, free.
Who?
Okay, well, if I got Task, if I got Skrull, I am not afraid of Sentinel. Not at all. Not at all. If Sentinel jumps, it's free. If he's not crouching, I will own him. Even if he's crouching, I'll own him with Task.
I don't know. I think it's fightable. It's not 100% free.
No, and also, as someone has commented, Amy and Wesker both own Sentinel pretty free.
Wesker beats him. I think I think Wesker beats him worse than Amy beats him. I don't think Amy beats Sentinel the way people think she does.
Spencer owns that guy nasty.
9 times out of 10, when I'm fighting an Amy versus my Sentinel, I win. I think we always thought that because the people that were getting raped by, who was it that was doing it at the time?
Justin.
Justin Wong was doing it to who Sentinel?
Exposed Sentinel so bad.
Was it really Was it really exposing? I mean, he was playing Rai Sentinel.
No, I mean
Rai, but like,
who was also really good at the beginning was Rogue Yoshi, the very 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 beginning of Vanilla.
I didn't really watch a lot of his matches back then.
Well, his beginning team was Sentinel, Dante, Phoenix.
Wow.
And for the longest time, I was like, damn, this is wow. Oh my god.
Well, when he had all that life, bro, it was a little OD. I mean, Sentinel could stand to lose a little bit of life. Like, he should have went down to like 1.1.
Yeah, I thought you were
gonna say fair.
I'm cool with 1.1. I'm not cool with 950, 8, whatever it is.
It's like 900. I think it might be like 930 or some
I'd like to see
number.
Strider with a little bit more health, just a little.
That's
If not
nah.
health, give him some damage. Because if he does not have X Factor, he's useless. I feel he's useless.
He's already way too overpowered. You think about it. He's one of the best assists in the game. One of the best comeback characters. You buff his health, and then what are you gonna do?
You go to
And then
Virgil.
once you buff him, now you have a beastly point character that also happens to be one of the best
Here's
freaking
another
comeback characters in the game.
here's another good argument. What about there was an argument at Canada Cup where people were saying that they feel that counter TACs, people should get full combos off of them.
That's so retarded. That's such a new player, new school mentality.
Okay,
I
go.
guessed right, even though I was getting hit, so now I should get to punish you. Like, no, you don't punish me. We're back at neutral. Why would you be rewarded for me hitting you?
Because it's better that way. Well, I mean, it does. Okay, what about this? Wait, what if like they're trying to like tap left, right, and if they counter, instead of me losing a meter, you're losing a meter.
No,
No.
it should be neutral. I earned a hit.
Hmm.
If I gamble out for that hit, we go to neutral. In Marvel 2, what happens if I was ramming you and I decided to reset you and you blocked my reset? What happened?
No, I get what you're saying.
We're neutral. You
Yeah.
don't reward people for getting hit. That's new school mentality. That's why these
So-
games, the skill cap is so low. Every game nowadays, there's a reward for getting bots. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, you got revenge.
slow, you get bots. Marvel, you get
Yeah.
your better X Factor. Street Fighter, you get Ultra.
Do you think
Like, that's
Marvel
just-
2?
school.
Yeah. Do you think Marvel 3 would be better without X Factor?
It wouldn't be better for my pockets. It wouldn't be better for spectators. It would. I think the way Capcom designed Marvel 3 was brilliant.
Right. So I mean, what about like X Factor 3 getting a little bit of like nerf, like a little bit less X Factor 3 time? I mean, whenever you're in a position in Dark Phoenix as X Factor 3, like,
all
oh my
in
god,
favor of
please.
nerfing X Factor a little bit, though.
I mean, okay, wouldn't it make sense if they had X Factor, X Factor 1 is just the same time for all the X Factors, 1, 2, and
Absolutely.
Right?
I think.
And
that you
then
can
like
do
whatever, the damage is the damage, whatever. But like if it's lasting 30, like wow, okay.
it. Yeah. No, I think X Factor needs a nerf. It needs, or in order for it to be competitive. But you got to also understand that the more competitive the game is, the less beneficial it is for spectators. The less beneficial it is for tournament pots. The less beneficial it is for what I'm saying. So all of those things that have come from it, sponsorships and players getting becoming bigger names and stuff because of the more people involved and all of that things. It wouldn't happen if the game is more competitive. Being honest.
Yeah.
Everyone
I
wants
mean,
a shot.
you gotta have that
got
nub
a shot.
factor, right?
Yeah. And so, to be honest with you, it's like I think it's geniusly designed.
Are
Because
there
I think
any other fighting games? Are there any other fighting games you're thinking of getting into?
Cost Tech in 2013.
Are you actually gonna play it? Or are you gonna be like, nah?
I played the free guide of the first one until.
Are you gonna play Darkness? Are you gonna play some Raven?
Nah, I'm most likely gonna play. Well, unless they nerfed Law still, I want to play Law, like the way
PR
I.
long?
Huh?
No, is it PR long?
I don't know what that is.
PR long, PR rug. You just Fei Long now.
Oh no, Law.
Yeah, I know. Same shit.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I want to use Law. He's I liked him in the old one in Vanilla.
Mhm.
I guess is what you were gonna call that now. And then I liked him, and then I don't know. I'll find a second.